And welcome to the Barbados. Ah, I always forget that bit. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Barbados Association of Professional Engineers monthly webinar series. This month, we are happy to have a very special invited guest and a friend of mine who's going to be speaking to us on a topic pertaining to management. And this is part of a series that we're going to be running over the next 3 sessions where we're going to be focusing on management and different aspects of management. Now, we know there are engineers out there who have engineering practices. There are those who work in various facets of management. So these next 3 series or these next 3 sessions will give you an opportunity to hone some of your management skills. This evening, we do have with us Ayesha Maycock, and I will introduce Ayesha properly in a moment. But first, let me just do some housekeeping for us here. We do have persons still jumping on, so I'm hoping that by the time I'm finished my spiel, that we will have a good set of people in that we can start running. So this is a CPD, that is continuous professional development event. It carries a value of 2 CPD points. So we're asking for those of you who are members of professional organizations, you can contact Stacy at the Secretariat. That's the Barbados Association of Professional Engineers. Kenton will flash the contact details a little later. You can contact Stacy and she will issue you with the proof of your attendance at this event so you can claim your 2 CPD points for the various professional organization of which you may be a member of. Some very general housekeeping notes. We will introduce our speaker shortly, and the speaker will do a presentation for between 30 and 40 minutes. And then we're going to have an open session where you are allowed to interact with our guests. This is done by either raising your hand, at which time I will acknowledge you and invite you to ask your question. Alternatively, if you're feeling a bit shy, you can put your question first in the chat, and we will answer in the order in which I basically deliver it to the speaker. We ask that you mute your electronic device unless you're asking a question. So tonight's topic, guys, is going to be on building a strong team. Now, this is an interesting topic for anyone that is in supervision, management, and if you're aspiring certainly to go to the levels of management. We all usually will start off in our professional careers at entry-level position, which may be for engineers out in the field or in the design office. For those of you who may be architects or builders, again, it could be on site or in a design office, and you start literally in the trenches, as it were. But then at some point in time, one aspires to be promoted or to do more, or perhaps you're looking to open your own business. And at some point in time, you will be required to manage someone other than yourself. And you may be, if you are on a job site, you may be required to manage a team of persons. So we have with us this evening, as I said, a very special guest. I'll give you some background to my friend, Ayesha. First and foremost, she is a follower of Christ and has been for 21 years. He changed her life and has allowed her to be the open book that she is. She states her God-given purpose is to connect with people in a humorous and meaningful way, mixed with a passion to empower those around her. Aisha's also big into athletics and track and field. That's one of her main loves. It shaped her life journey. She has represented Barbados at the junior and senior levels and was on an athletic scholarship at Austin Peay State University in Clarksville, Tennessee, where she was inducted into their Hall of Fame in 2008. She was awarded many accolades, including Athlete of the Year in the Ohio Valley Conference, and won the NCAA Women's Enhancement Postgraduate Scholarship to pursue her MBA at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. She sits on the board of Athletics Association of Barbados as the Assistant Secretary and plays volleyball for Hill Road Chargers. Ayesha spends most of her time, her waking hours, as a manager of the corporate finance and stock brokerage teams at SigniaGlobe, where she's been there for over 19 years. And she's one that loves her workplace and her job. She's very active in ministry, leading the youth group at Hope Church called EPIC, which is equipping young people in Christ. She's also a part of the drama ministry, greeters ministry, the singles ministry, and the women's ministry. And she puts it that she is born to serve. And she's sweet, but also very much a no-nonsense person, a trait she believes has helped her to be where she is today. And Ayesha and I interact at church on the drama team, of which we're both members. So that's how we know each other for quite some time. So Ayesha, I'm not going to steal any more of your thunder in your presentation time. I'm going to hand over to you, and have a good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Vincent. At one point when you were speaking, I'm like, who is that he is speaking of? But thank you to each and every one of you for coming on this evening. It is an absolute pleasure to be able to speak with you. And welcome, Natalie, Renee, Esther, I think that's Sheena, Kelvin, Chernel, Ray, Nigel, Corey, and Nisreen. If I pronounce your name correctly, please forgive me. But I do appreciate your time, and I thank each and every one of you for logging in. If you're seeing another Maycock on the line, that's Renee Maycock, my sister from the Cayman Islands. I shout out to you, my darling. Thank you for coming on. And this is absolutely, as Vincent said, no stranger for me. I have been at SigniaGlobe for 19 years, been connecting with people all my life, and I'm sure you have been as well too. And this is why today we are going to be speaking on building a strong team. And note that the topic isn't building strong staff or building strong bosses, strong directors, or even strong customers. It's about building a strong team, because no man is an island, and we all have to connect with people at some point. This is how God designed us to be. This is the way for humanity, for us to connect with each other in a meaningful way, and definitely in our marketplaces, whether it's at work for us, whether it's our family directly at home, and for sure, whether it's for the different ministries or different hats that we wear. As Vincent mentioned, I wear many, many different hats. I've come into contact with people from diverse backgrounds, and I'm sure that the same is for each and every one of you on this call. And so that's why today I'm happy to take you on this journey with me of building a strong team. Let me just pull up my presentation here, which would give you a visual on what I want to share. And you can let me know when you're actually seeing it.
Yeah, we're seeing it, Ayesha.
All right, excellent. All right, so building a strong team. It is by no accident that I have on here interlocking hands. Interlocking hands are so extremely important because we have to lock arms. And the Bible says, iron sharpens iron. And a team, actually a chain, is as strong as its weakest link. The power in a team is really and truly what the person who you would consider the least to be, what they would have. And Vincent said we are members of the drama team, but listen, Vincent is the leader in my drama team, and he also has used many of these skill sets that we are going to be talking about today. And I actually, would submit to him because he leads us at church, and that's how it is for each and every one of us. We have 3 levels of people, I think. I think we have people above us, people that we look up to. We have people next to us, people that we walk with in this journey, and we have people below us, people who we mentor, who we train up, who kind of look up to us, and we get to repeat that same thing. They're going to be doing the same. People below you are going to be doing the same thing. People above you are going to be doing the same thing. And what is it that we really and truly want out of this life anyway? And when I look at this magnificent structure, to be quite honest, I had never really focused on it before, but when I saw it, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is Capitol Gate Tower in Abu Dhabi. Isn't it spectacular? My goodness, when I saw this, I was like, this is just absolutely beautiful. And it kind of sums up how kind of we are in life. We want to create and be a part of something meaningful, something strong, something sturdy, something appealing, something built to last. That is what we all desire. And when you look at this structural marvel, they call it, it's like it has the leaning. I think they said it's a world record, Guinness World Record, because of the degrees at which it's lean at and the height of it. And man, I just absolutely love the Capitol Gate Tower. If I was an engineer or an architect, I would definitely want to know where did this come from? Like, how did you imagine that this would turn out like this and in this space, and how you use the height and the slenderness is just absolutely all amazing. So we are going to talk briefly about defining a strong team. Now, the success of any organization depends on the strength of its team. If you are self-employed, you're still part of a team because you have to connect with your stakeholders, your suppliers, your customers, the people that you do business with every day, the people that you have helping you, even though you may be the one in the face of the business. And what exactly is a strong team? A strong team is a group of individuals, who collaborate effectively towards achieving common goals. That is what we define as a strong team. When you think about your own family and your own household, are you guys a strong team? Do you guys come together, spend some time? Do you go out, hang out? Is everybody in their phones and kind of in the bedroom, come kind of see each other going in, coming out, maybe at mealtime, maybe passing to go get in a car? That's up to you how you run your household. And it's also reflective of how you actually run your business as well, and how you function within your company. But it's definitely to collaborate. The word in there, a strong team, is focused on collaboration. No man is an island. You cannot do it all by yourself. You shouldn't want to do it all by yourself because you just can't. You need people. Sometimes you hear people say, I don't want to people today. I can't absolutely people today. Sometimes it's overwhelming. Sometimes it's stressful. Sometimes you don't want nobody to call you to give you one more thing to do. It can feel sometimes overwhelming, but trust me, building a strong team around you, under you, above you, with you is what makes all the difference. And this concept is no stranger to those of us on the call who are professional engineers. I went to the website, yes, and I see that part of your mission is to ensure that you educate the public on the safety protocols and practices, and that you adhere to the standards and the codes. That's what you do when you want to build something to last, and you want to ensure that there's a legacy left behind. And how we interact with each other, how we act and interact with each other is going to make a very big difference. As a matter of fact, I submit to you today that it can make or break you as a person. So in this presentation, we will explore the key factors that contribute to building a strong team. We have that strong team. When you think of a strong team, I want you to think of the emoji with the fist up, that's the saying strong, and the face that grr. That's what strong is. Even though some people don't necessarily look strong, they are very strong, but you have to be strong in order to claim that you are strong. So let's go. I want you to imagine that we are building something today. Not necessarily something looking like this, but this is a simplistic version of how we want it to appear. We are building today 3 floors. 3 floors in our structure, and then we're going to have 4 support beams. And each floor is going to represent something in our collaboration and our contact with each other. Can you see that? If you can see that, just type a 1 in the chat, or 2 or 3. Just tell me, let me know if you can see the structure and if you are picturing it as we go. Yes, I see them coming in. Excellent, excellent. We are building something today. Thank you for your engagement and for indulging me. Before we get to building anything, we have to lay a foundation. We have to lay a foundation before we go up in the air. One of the most magnificent trees in the world spread its roots out for 10 years before it stands tall. And the same for us. We have to have and lay a strong foundation in order to have a strong and lasting structure. What is that? The foundation is really on great leadership. You are actually the foundation. You are where you start. It's easy to say, I can't stand this person, or I just wish they would change, or I wish that they would do this or do that. We cannot puppet people, even our own children, our own parents, our own siblings. We can never control. As a matter of fact, that is God's purpose. That is not ours. We can't control people. We can only control ourselves. So the first element in building anything, in any foundation to deal with people, is that you must have a great leadership. You are that great leader. You're the ones who log on today. Thank you so much for coming on. I see you, Don. I see you coming on. Celia, welcome, and thank you for joining. But the great leadership starts with each and every one of us. The way we think about our jobs, our roles, our functions, the attitude we bring on, the way we talk about our jobs, when we celebrate, when we go on vacation and we're like, oh my gosh, I have to go back into work. I don't know about you, but I'm happy that I get to work, because the vacation comes because I get to work. I can't vacation and then work. I have to work and then vacation. So I kind of have to give my job the respect and the place, its rightful place in my life, because it funds everything else. Even if you have a side hustle, you still have to work. In order to make this life work, you have to work it. And when you think of leadership, when you think of people who have emerged as great leaders, whether it's here in Barbados with our very own Mia Motley, it might be your own boss, it may be you. What are some of the qualities that you have? What are some of the qualities that you look up to when you think of Nelson Mandela and Barack Obama, and you think of Donald Trump even? I know persons may laugh at that, but sometimes that can be a marker for things that you do not want to see in a leader. But whoever you choose, think of the qualities in them that you want to see. I'll put it in the chat. Let's see what are some of the qualities that we can come up with. What in your mind are some of the qualities of a great leader? I'm waiting on you. A good communicator, integrity. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Vincent. Thank you, Kenton. Patience. Oh my goodness. Yes, you must. Absolutely must have patience. If you don't have patience and you run on a tight ship and you lose it, you're cool all the time, it's going to be really crazy. Empathetic, communicator, absolutely trustworthy. Yes, yes, Natalie. Compassion, visionary, encourager. I absolutely love these responses because they are all true. And you must be calm. You must be honest. Oh my goodness. Nobody wants a leader who doesn't have integrity. We spoke about some of these, and you guys are absolutely correct. I have just a few here, qualities of a leader, and we start first and foremost with respect. Most people would say respect is earned and respect is due just because of authority or title or role or function. But respect, really and truly, as I mentioned before, some of these qualities can make or break you as a person. So you want to ensure that you respect people that are around you. You respect their perspectives, you respect their contributions, you respect their personal space, you respect the fact that, hey, just because you're here and in this journey with me, I'm going to respect you. And respect definitely is a two-way street. If you command the respect of people, or you want people to respect you, you in turn should respect them. Once you have respect, and number two, trust, listen, these are the cornerstones of relationships in general. Respect and trust. When trust is broken, it is very, very hard to build it back. You see it in any relationship. When trust goes through the window, it takes a long time to build it, but it takes a few moments to lose it. And then you have to almost start from the beginning again. In your dealings with people, in your thrust to be a great leader and to manage your own self, you must trust somebody. How do you trust people? You trust them until you can't. That's the only way to do it. You just jump right in. You have to trust them. Some people would trust you straight off the bat. Some people you have to work a little harder. And some people will say, no, I don't care what you do. I ain't leaving my eyes closed with you around. I'm going to watch you with one eye open. Integrity. You heard integrity many times because it is absolutely true. You must have integrity. Sometimes you're tempted, and temptation comes in many forms to hide up that mistake, to not necessarily do the right thing, especially if it comes with money. But trust me, there's no amount of money that I believe that should trap us as great leaders. We must conduct our business with integrity. We must conduct our business with integrity. Honesty and integrity, oh my goodness, they go hand in hand. Helpfulness. If you thought that helpfulness was not important, let your team do all the work and say, good job, people. They're going to look at you like, you that ain't drive a stroke today to help me? That's what they will remember. They're going to remember that you stand up and watch. You cannot expect to build a great team and you yourself, you do not roll up your sleeves and jump right in. You have to prove yourself helpful in every regard. Why? Because your team is watching you. Your team, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, they're going to see how you handle pressure. They're going to see how you handle different tasks. And they definitely want to see how you're going to handle when it's crunch time, when we got to jump in and get this thing done. Are you going to be like, okay, give me a call when I get through? You cannot do that. Remember, we are building a solid foundation towards great leadership. You have to prove yourself helpful. Accountability. Accountability is a big one because not everyone wants to admit or everyone wants to realize, I made a mistake, boy. Child, just didn't go as I wanted it to. But accountability is very critical. And I see you guys coming in. Hi, Sheena. Hi, Chris. Welcome to each and every one of you who are now joining us. But accountability is so absolutely amazing because nobody wants to know that they mess up. Nobody wants to mess up. I don't think that people intentionally go to mess up things. But it does happen. Life happens. Things do not always go as planned. Sometimes we can have the best of plans and it just never materializes the way that we want it to. And quite frankly, we have to recalibrate and do things a little differently and stay and remain accountable so that if things go wrong, you can't exactly be throwing your team under the bus. Remember, you lead the team. So if something doesn't go right, you are the one who actually has to take accountability and responsibility for the actions of the team. The next one on here is confidence. Confidence. Whenever you think of great leaders, of people who've made an impact on this world, there's a confidence about them, right? They know they're knowledgeable, first of all, so they know their work, they know what they're there for, they know their purpose. They know why they stand and what they stand on, and they're confident in their interactions. And you remember them. You remember them. And it's really and truly not necessarily a function of personality. You can be an introvert and be confident as well. Because I am an extrovert, by all means, doesn't necessarily mean that I am confident all the time. But it's not a function of personality. Confidence comes from inside, really. How you feel about yourself. It comes from how you feel about others that you're interacting with. It comes from being prepared for a presentation as to whether you're going to kind of do well or not. Confidence and self-esteem and all, and defining your self-worth and all of this can be one big complex mess. But confidence in every great leader that you've seen is one thing that you can be sure is can make or break you, as I would say throughout this presentation. The next one is confidentiality. Oh my goodness, I cannot speak about this enough. Confidentiality is critical because not everything that you as a leader come into contact with comes across your desk. You may be in a meeting that has some sensitive information is shared, whether it's about an employee, whether it's about the business itself, whether it's about a competitor, the industry in general, and things that are happening. You cannot share everything. And it's critical that you prove yourself confidential. If somebody tells you something, don't just rattle off because you're the leader. You have to ask permission to share it if it is something that isn't going to have a serious impact or is going to be expensive in terms of cost. And cost is not necessarily monetary all the time. But you have to determine the level of what you can share, or if at all. Some things you just have to keep between you and the person who told it to you. And that's where confidentiality comes in. The next one is commitment. Are you going to show up when the tough gets going? Are you going to show up when it's rough? Are you only show up when it's smooth sailing and you're here for the team and you're here for everybody? You must show yourself committed. You lead by example straight off. When you are building your foundation for your straight team, you must absolutely lead by example. But you must be committed. Because if things come down and the people calling you, you can't be found, you don't know where you are, you're not responding to emails, you're not responding to text messages, are you really that committed? Sometimes you may be indisposable. Sometimes you may be unavailable and inaccessible, but is that all the time? Can people really and truly say that you are committed? If you're leading a team, you're setting the example. What kind of example are you setting? And the last one, you said it in the chat, compassion, empathy. Not everyone is in touch with their emotions or even want to deal with their own emotions on a daily basis, but I got to deal with yours too. Absolutely. We have to absolutely have compassion. And it is no accident. It is absolutely no accident that you are going to see and hear that any foundation at all, you must have compassion for people because things do not always go the way we want it to, as you mentioned earlier. So when things happen, when life throws us curveballs, we must show that we have empathy and that we are compassionate people. Sympathy is something completely different. Sympathy means I feel for you. Empathy means I feel with you. So compassion and empathy, empathetic, goes a long way. And this is not just for women. Most people say women bosses, women leaders, they're the ones who are nurturing and compassionate. I don't need to be compassionate. And men don't do that. We don't be in touch with our emotions. I totally disagree. In order to lay a great foundation, in order to be a great leader, you must be compassionate. If that's not you, try working on it. Try working on it with someone close to you to see how well you're doing. All right, so we've laid our foundation. What are we going to do on the first floor? The first floor, when we go to the next one, is people management. Now that we know what we are doing, let's talk about who. We cannot absolutely make it in this life without dealing with people. From the beginning of time, God said it is not good that man is alone. So we can't go through this life being alone. We need people to do whatever we want to get to where we need to get to make it in this life. And we have several roles in people management. You see my man here, he's standing at the top and he's pointing and he has his team carrying him. But we, on our first floor of our structure, People management is so critical. Now, the concept of a coach is absolutely amazing to me, and it's absolutely no stranger for me as an athlete. Coaching is something that it has to come. You have to be under a coach. The coach is the one who wants you to win, who wants to train you, make sure that you are doing what you need to do, and he is going to absolutely take you through all of what you need to. And it's very important that you coach people, from the people that you hire, because your team is going to change. Your team is going to be dynamic. It's never going to be the same people that you start with, even at the beginning of this month to the end of this month, right? Well, we're at the end of June now, but let's say July. The team changes all the time. Life changes, circumstances change. You may have a totally different team to when you started 2023 to when you end 2023. Maybe people who resign, maybe people who you had to terminate, but you have to coach them through it all. And you have to be a problem solver. Sometimes I feel as if when we are leaders, we have to actually put on fireman suits. You know, firewoman, how are you today? I had to out so many fires. I should be a fireman. But you have to be a problem solver. Not necessarily looking at why it wasn't done the way it was done, but how can we make it happen given this new information that we have now? Problems come up each and every time, so we have to be able to solve them. Disciplinarian, oh, that's a big one. Disciplinarian, we talked about resigning and we talked about firing, but disciplinarian is almost all the time. When we were talking about qualities of a leader, you had to be firm. Had to be firm. And firm doesn't necessarily mean discipline, but not everybody falls in line at the same time. Even as soldiers, they have to try to fall in line to make that correct walk. But sometimes people are not always on the same page, and they don't care either that they're not on the same page. They're just here to get money in here to make no friends. Oh, wow. Let's see how far you're going to go with that. Counselor, financial advisor, these things happen because people go through things. People deal with people. People do business with people, but life happens. Some, especially as it relates to grief, especially as it relates to a failure in life. How do people who are high performers or high achievers, how do they handle not finishing on a deadline or not being able to complete that project that they worked so hard on? Wow, we have to counsel them. Sometimes we have to help them manage their money. Sometimes we have to show them how we are doing as a business and talk to them in that way. But in everything, we are mentors. We, on people management, we have to be mentors to our team. They're looking up to us. And the other one we have is delegators. You can't do everything. I know that sometimes it's just easier to just do it yourself. But if you are building a strong team, at some point, you're going to have to delegate. Even if you are self-employed, you know that when you're running up and down on the road and the sun hot and then the rain falling and then the traffic heavy and then the car tire gone, that there's no way you can get back in office and send off those invoices and finish up that report and finish that quotation and respond to those emails. You will have to have some kind of help at some point, right? And that's just how it works, because you can't do everything and we don't operate off batteries. So you have to be able to delegate. So we laid our foundation, which was dealing with ourselves as leaders. Now we're at the first floor, which is people management and how we deal with them. Now the next floor is to use the tools. How do we get the tools? How do we get to build our team? We have to use the tools. And these 4 tools are absolutely important. You have to train your team. You have to train, you have to transfer knowledge. And some people take this with a grain of salt because they prefer not to train their team so that they will remain in their jobs, because they figure if I train these young people in here, they're going to just replace me. No. I sometimes, even in my job, I feel I want to open up my brain and just teach my staff everything that I know so that they can operate independently and feel competent and confident in carrying out their work. You have to train your staff, find out where they have weaknesses, find out where they're not grasping the concepts as easily as they should, find out who picks up on things right away, and find out who needs another 2-step, 3-step hand holding, find out who likes to see things visually, who prefers to hear things, who prefers to see it written down. All those things are critical in training your team. And when it comes to sales, because we are here to make money, at the end of the day, at the end of all the long talk, we need to live. We cannot go to the supermarket and say, well, boy, that was a great presentation, but tell the cashier that we can trust these items. They're going to put you outside. We have to make money in this world. That's how we operate. We have to make money. So it's important that you set targets. How is your business doing? Do you know how the Barbados Association of Professional Engineers is actually doing? Do you even pay attention? I went on your website, yes, and I did look at your income statement and your balance sheet and saw that you made a small loss of $5,000 last year. But how are you doing? How is any association doing? How is your business doing? The things that you are part of, how are they doing? What targets do you need to meet this month, this quarter, this year? Sales is important because that's why we're here. We have to make money. We have to live. Unless we plan to stay on some kind of charity, we have to find a way to make money. And customer service, oh, it is absolutely critical. Actually, even at work, we had a whole series on customer service and ensuring that complaints are dealt with properly, because a complaint is not just for badges to can't stop complaining. Complaints are opportunities to fix a problem, or they may even create blind spots for us that we may not necessarily have known about before. Right? And reward and recognition. This is so important. Celebrate the milestones together. Celebrate when your team does well. Give Jack his jacket. Trust me. And recognition does not, and reward doesn't always have to be monetary. It can be just a simple thank you, applause. It can send an email, say, guess what this person did? Guess what Carol did today? Hi, Carol. Guess what happened? This is absolutely amazing. Just letting people know that somebody have achieved something, even if it may seem minor, just giving them a pat on the back encourages and motivates them. Use our tools. Absolutely, we must. And then, okay, so we have our second floor down. What about our third floor? It is no accident that vision is on our third floor. We're building 3 floors, so we are at the top. Vision. Without vision, the people perish. We must have vision, and the importance of having a vision can never be overstated. Can never be. Because vision is like a clear path to where you are going. You must set a goal, you must have a target, but the vision around it and where you want to be and where you're expecting the future to look like. I mean, COVID showed us that our visions may need recalibrating because it tossed a whole heap of things through the window. And we had to recalibrate and learn how to do everything else that I have taught about so far. But without vision, people will not have a clear goal. And you're working in collaboration, as I mentioned at the beginning. So in order to collaborate, well, what are you collaborating on? Your vision is your why. You know who, you know how, but you have to know your why, the why behind everything. Or everybody in your circle, everybody that you are in contact with, your employees, your investors, your stakeholders, your suppliers, your customers, everybody needs to know where you stand and why you do what you do. You must have a vision, must have a strategy, execute, then you get some success. This to me is a little flawed though, because when you can execute, you don't always get success. But anyhow, you continue to recalibrate and have your vision and realign it. And it helps in decision making, because some things may come across your desk that do not line up with your values and your mission and the way you conduct yourself, furthermore, conduct your business. So having a vision at the top of our structure is absolutely critical. No, we're on the home stretch now since we talk about athletics, and I love athletics. If we're running the 100, we're on the home stretch, peoples. We've built our 3 floors, but what supports these floors? We have 4 beams, and these are interconnecting. We have some structures here which seems horizontal, vertical, and horizontal. But these 4 beams, think of them as wires that are interconnecting and all over the place like a big white maze, interconnecting everything. Everything is interconnected because communication is great. You cannot go through this life without communication. Even if you cannot hear, even if you cannot speak, you find ways to communicate because people need to know what is being said and try to understand what information you are trying to convey. And the use of technology, this digital age, and using technology. We went to meet with a client who ordinarily it would take him 2 to 3 months to build something. And because he has this new machine, he's like, give me till Monday. Talk about reducing time. And he's able to employ his staff to do other things, to do deliveries, to go make sales calls. He went from the doing to go into strategy because he has a machine. And we think machines are going to replace people, but technology is to be embraced as we seek efficiency, as we seek to go forward, as we seek to find better ways of doing the same exact thing. Use technology to our advantage. And the culture that you create within your organization determines how your team is going to relate to you and to each other. Are you laid back? Are you chill? Are you authoritarian? Hey, can you guys wear jeans in the summer when you're at work? We do at SigniaGlobe. Do you celebrate each other? Do you want to spend time with each other outside of work? What culture do you have in there? Is it get off your phone and do your work? Or is it, hey, check in on a colleague, see how they're doing, see how things are going. You need each other. Not keep your head down all the time. Connect with people because this is what is important in teamwork as well. You have people in your team that are a little louder than the others, and you don't want them to overshadow the ones who are not as loud. But absolutely, in order to build a strong team, they must work together. You can't have a team without teamwork. Your team is your bedrock too, because the way they work or don't work says a lot about how you have built them up, right? And not everybody in the team is going to get along with each other, and that's okay. There are different perspectives. We today are the sum total of all of our experiences, good or bad, up to this point in our lives. And everybody has walked their own journey to come to this point. So you're going to have conflict. You're going to have different expectations. You're going to have different goals. You're going to have different reasons why people are here. Some people just want the experience. Some people just want to be employed, but they don't necessarily want to work. And we have to be able to deal with all of those dynamics. So this is why we have those 4 beams: communication, technology, culture, and teamwork. So let's summarize now that we have a beautiful structure. We laid the foundation with a great leadership. We talked about managing people because that is absolutely critical, whether you're a coach, a problem solver, a delegator, a mentor. We talk about using the effective tools to train them, right? To ensure that people know exactly where we need to go by setting a clear vision. It's like your compass. It's like when you go on top of the Titanic. Let me not use the word Titanic now before that takes you on a different trajectory. But when you go to the top of that boat and the captain is looking out, he needs to know where he has to go. That's what it is, clear vision. And then we have our strong support systems: communication, technology, culture, and teamwork. And this, I believe, is the way that you build a strong team. Great leadership, people management, effective tools, a clear vision, strong support systems via communication, technology, culture, and teamwork. And that's my presentation for today. And I want to say thank you and open up to any questions. And this is my contact information. Some of what I've posted, I actually post every week on LinkedIn, every Monday. You can see me, Moments of a Manager with Ayesha Maycock. There's my email address at work, my mobile number, and we have a website, SigniaGlobe.com, and you will see all my contact information there as well. It's been absolutely a pleasure presenting to you today. And remember, the structure that we want is what? Let me show it to you. This is it here. Creating and being a part of something meaningful, strong, sturdy, appealing, and built to last is what we all desire. And using these tools and these mechanisms, these factors that I just spoke of, is definitely one way to get you there. All right, thank you very much. And Vincent, now I leave it all over to you for any questions.
Fantastic. It's always exciting when you have somebody who's passionate about what they're speaking about, speaking, because there's no opportunity to fall asleep, right? Because you're so enthused that you get enthused as well. I almost feel like going to run a marathon right now, you know, you get a shot of adrenaline there just listening to Ayesha just now.
Right, thank you.
Ayesha,
Hi, Christina. Hi to see you guys. Night, Natalie Canterbury.
So
Yes.
guys, this is the point of the evening where we get to ask some questions. Okay. Now, this is an opportunity to get some free advice. Some free advice. If you if you have a business, if you're looking to aspire toward leadership in your company, or maybe you are starting your own company or thinking about starting your own company, this is an opportunity to pick one of the, I would say, leading managers in this country's mind, right? Ayesha, you know, Ayesha might not want to big up herself, but if you look and see how well Signia is doing, it's not because the people down there, things is dropping in a lot. People down there working to make things happen. And Ayesha's part of that team that is making things happen. So
thank you, Donna.
it's a great opportunity. If you guys got questions, you can raise your hand or you can put it in the chat. I'll start the ball rolling. Now,
Yes.
You mentioned, Ayesha, compassion and empathy. How does one as a team leader maintain your demeanor, your whole persona as a leader, even if you are deemed to be compassionate and empathetic? Because, you know, man, he or she's soft.
Yeah.
How do you draw that line?
Yeah, I honestly believe that people associate showing emotion with weakness, but it is actually not weakness, it is actually strength, because when you can empathize with someone else and you can put yourself in their shoes and even understand their perspective, even if you don't agree with it, trust me, having compassion on somebody is absolutely critical. Like, for example, it could be one of your staff, they may not be able to make it to work because their child is not well. You don't want to say, well, you got this report for me, well, you ain't sending in and all this. So what's the option? What's the option in this regard? Can they work from home? Because maybe they can still fulfill what they have to do, but your response to them is actually quite critical. And if you are unable to I would say, how they say, shape and mold that particular skill, you're going to find people are going to be very standoffish with you because you have a very hard line, a hard nose. You don't feel much about anything other than what you are interested in, and you have passion for what you care about, but you don't have compassion. It's completely different things. It's a skill you have to have.
All right, we have a question from Miss Renee Maycock. Renee, you can unmute and answer your question.
My sister, hi.
Hi, how are you? Good evening.
I'm good, my darling.
Yes, a wonderful presentation. It's kind of amazing because right now I'm actually going through leadership training, and a lot of what you have covered this evening is also covered in that particular in those particular sessions.
Yes.
One of the things, and it's just going on from this whole compassion thing. I want you to give us an example of a situation where you had a very difficult person that you really did not feel compassionate about, and how you dealt with that situation.
You want me to answer before Ayesha answer? Send them home. Send them home. Don't let the past go. Don't collect $200. Send them home. Just kidding. That is not the right answer. I should give the right answer.
Look, it is, for me, when I deal with because you can have compassion with people, but that doesn't mean that you can't be fair and firm with them. Let me just give you one example. I had a lady who, this is probably about 9 or 10 years ago. I've been at SigniaGlobe 19 years. And this lady was what I would call a professional crier. Let's just sum it up that way, right? So the first time I met her, I was just like, child, this lady going through a rough time. And she, she was having challenges paying, and not every financial institutions are not going to come down on people who don't pay automatically. We will give you grace. But when you show yourself to be professional, user, manipulative, I have to have a different approach. So the second time she came in crying, the third time she came in crying, and I'm supposed to have compassion for her. Like, yeah. And after that, I promise you, the first time I felt a little sorry for her. The second time it was like, this lady needs some help. The third time I was like, you take that as a joke. So when she cried and she snot and she put on a real good ugly cry, right, Renee? And after she was done, I gave her some water and I gave her some tissue. And I was like, so when you gonna pay me? Very firm. Because I was done with it. So so for me, I was over it. You can have compassion, but you don't necessarily have to fall into traps either, right? Because people will push the envelope and people will take advantage of that compassion if it is to their benefit. So you still have to be discerning and try to see if people are actually manipulating you and using you to their benefit by creating these emotions that really ain't true.
Did she pay? I want to know what's the solution at the end.
She sure did. She sure did. She sure did.
Okay.
She did. The very next day. I was like, where you get all this money from all of a sudden?
Okay. Awesome. Just want to be sure. Thank you.
Yeah, the floor is still open.
Thank you too, right?
So while you guys think of those questions, I'll throw another question at Ayesha.
Yes, sure.
Ayesha, I know you're a sports fan.
Mm-hmm.
All of or those of us who follow West Indies cricket still, we our heart bleeds sometimes when we see some of the things that occur.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, how important is it to equip potential leaders? How important is training the coach?
Mm-hmm.
That person because sometimes we are guilty of taking persons who are good performers and assuming that they're going to be good leaders. Some people just are quite happy to just perform. So how do you bridge that gap? How do you prepare that person to take on a leadership role?
Yeah, you have to train them too. They say maybe train our teams. We also need training. Actually, at SigniaGlobe, we have training every year for the managers. And I feel as if not every person who becomes a manager or is recruited as a manager know how to manage. And that's the honest truth, because you can have people coming up through your organization who've been there for years and who've been doing well, and they're just promoted to either a supervisory or managerial position. But that doesn't mean that they know how to do it. They may have been sitting under a leader and watching them, but when it comes to them and they have to make decisions and they have to deal with people and they have to do performance appraisals, oh my goodness, it's like, wait, well, I never do nothing so yet. So you have to train them. You have to ensure that people, even as when you started today, you have your continuous learning. We all have to have continuous learning, be open to the fact that we don't know everything and also be open to the fact that we have to continue to, as our own industries evolve and change, we have to continue to ensure we know what is critical and what is outstanding. Like, for example, even in cricket, they have all kinds of equipment now that they've created, which before you had to have a whole team around just to catch the ball. And now you have this, the ball go here and it come back to you. You have new bats, you have all kinds of things for training that is different. And a coach has to ensure that he is one step ahead of everybody else that is under him. How can he bring them along when he himself doesn't know? Not saying that not knowing is an issue, but I ain't coaching. You're not gonna get hired if you don't know anything, When you look at the NBA, when you look at the NFL, when you look at all the major leagues and all the English football and Spanish football, but they're hiring a coach that ain't know nothing, that don't have a winning record. everything. You must absolutely know. Training for you, and it has to happen every single year, at least annually. Yes, Natalie, update your knowledge as you go. You have to.
I think what you've mentioned there, Aisha, is good company ethics and good company policy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and I've seen this firsthand in several companies in Barbados, you have persons who bring in family members and they're appointed as a manager or a supervisor, and then the persons beneath them have to turn around and train them. And it kind of demotivates the team. So
Yeah.
How would you speak to that type of situation?
It happens so often here in Barbados. The nepotism is very real, and it's the succession planning that most organizations have. You don't need to know a thing. Just come and you're my son or daughter, and you are automatically the director of and the VP of, and don't know very much, right? It is very difficult to stay motivated when you have been that one on the cusp of a breakthrough, on the brink of a promotion, and then the young upstart come and take your spot. How do you continue in that vein? One, you have to prove yourself still useful. For me personally, if it happens to me, I can keep noise. I ain't gonna say that I ain't gonna let it happen. I am a person that will keep noise. Any person who knows me on this call will know I ain't gonna be happy about that. And they gonna let you know that I ain't not happy about that. And I can see how you're gonna treat me afterwards. And your response to me will determine if it is time for me to look for another job. Right? Because I can't change it. And regardless of how much noise I keep, blood thicker than water. And they having, if a person now comes in today, trust me, and his family, that was in the works for years. It's just that it materialized today.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen other situations as well where persons bring their family members in and literally, make them work from the bottom and work their way up so they have an appreciation of the business. So when those persons then do get the appointment, as it were, they actually know what's going on. And obviously that would be, I think, the preferred method. But unfortunately, the other method that we spoke about just now seems to be more prevalent than us. And I know it can be a very big demotivating factor for a lot of persons. So it's interesting to hear, how you approach that. Guys.
But I think too, sorry, Vincent, before you move, I also think too, for you as the owner, you have to show people that you value them. So even if they were expecting to get that promotion or expecting to get that post and they're demotivated about it, you still have to reassure them that they're valuable, that you care about them. See if you can promote them, even if it's just entitled only without an actual responsibility. Maybe they were looking to get the post because they wanted an increase in money. And you may not be able to go all the way up there, but you can still offer a little increase to get a compromise. So it isn't a case where you necessarily have to kill their spirits by saying, this is my company and they're gonna run it the way they want to run it, whether you like it or not. But you have to understand that if people are batting for you, then you have to bat for them too, and being vocal about it and actually speaking on it. Because sometimes too, we as employees, we would go and tell everybody else except the person that needs to know. I am not that type of person. I'm a very direct, go get it girl kind of girl. So I would go to my boss and be like, well, boss, we're not here. How you could treat me so? And we're gonna have a conversation, because that's the culture that we have. But I do think that a conversation needs to be had so that people still find motivation to continue to do what they want to do. Because if that happens to you and it hurts to the core, you're just gonna go through the emotions. As a matter of fact, as they say, quietly quitting. But sometimes it don't just be quietly quitting, it's gone.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. All right. So as a manager, team leader, at some point in time, you will have to be the disciplinarian.
Yeah.
How challenging is it to discipline your team as a female leader? And how challenging is it for you as a female leader to discipline a male? What has your experience been like?
Yeah, I think that once you create a dynamic where they know who is the manager, anytime you have to disclaim or put out a disclaimer that I am the boss, you are not the boss. And I also feel the way you interact with them on a daily basis kind of sets the tone for discipline. Because when you mess up, there are consequences, and everyone has to remain accountable for it. So if you create that culture yourself by saying, "Chat team, I just and do it today, or I drop the ball on that one," and you remain accountable to yourself, it makes it easier for you then to be able to have the conversation when other people do the same. But because you set the tone, and you have to set the tone, and I certainly have been given grace many times from my own boss when I mess up. So then I would give grace to others too. But at the same time, we must, after you've dropped the ball, after there's some kind of disciplinary measure that is required, that we ensure that we don't repeat it again, and that we have memos, that we have emails, that you are quite clear where we stand after today, that this is unacceptable. And when I am speaking on something like that, you know me, Vincent. I'm a person that loves to laugh and loves to cheer, loves to make fun and stuff. But when it's time to be serious, you can guarantee that Ayesha gonna have a serious conversation with you, because we need to have it. So my posture is not going to be, "How you doing? And what's going on?" They're gonna be like, "Yeah, we need to have a chat." I may even go and use my air hostess voice. "Welcome to my office. Let's have a seat. We need to chat about something," and go low. And then they understand it's a serious conversation that we're having. But we do have to have those. But I think that you do not automatically become a disciplinarian overnight or in one day, where you go from joking to absolutely the next day you just want to be firm. It's not, that may not be who you are. But being a disciplinarian when things go wrong is absolutely critical, because you just can't get away with nonsense.
Fantastic. Guys, this is not the Ayesha and Vincent show. So if you have questions, I'm inviting you, take this opportunity to pick Aisha's mind and ask some questions. So you can raise your hand, or you can put a question in the chat. Aisha,
Yes, hi Stephanie, hi Jackie.
the term I'm going to call the delegation trap. If there's those managers or supervisors that like to use the statement, "If I want something done properly, I need to do it myself."
Yes.
How do persons engender trust in their team so that they become comfortable in being able to delegate duties?
Sometimes it is the shortest route to just do it yourself, because you know that when you do it, it's going to be done to your standard, and it's going to be done the way you want it to be done. And you're going to be actually hampering your team from going forward, because you're cutting their legs from under them by not teaching them how to get it done. I do believe that a manager delegating, you can't just dump everything on your desk on your team. There's a reason why you are the manager. But at the same time, I do feel as if, hi Kelvin, okay, no problem. I do feel as if you have to show your team how to do it. They may not do it as fast as you. They may not do it in the way that you expected it to be done. But trust me, if they can come with their own approach and have the same result, then let them do it their way. And then that frees you up to be able to focus on other critical things. But if you continue on that path, you're going to burn out, because everything then becomes, "Just let me do it. Just let me do it. Just let me do it." And then when you go home tired and break up and feeling overwhelmed, it's because you're not delegating enough. There are certain things that you just have to trust your team with. And I agree, Natalie, this is where training comes in. No, you have to know how quickly somebody is going to pick up on something. And actually, you never know how people are going to do unless you give them the opportunity to. If you know this person absolutely loves this particular topic or shows an interest in it, let them try it. Let them try it. And if they fail, still give them the opportunity. But trust me, there will come a time when you're gonna be like, "Nah, let me take this back or get to somebody else." But you won't know until you know. But you have to at least give them the opportunity, because you really, really would be ensuring that your team does not grow. They have to know.
Okay, Aisha, you are a management practitioner. You have an MBA.
Yes.
You've been with your current company for the last 19 years, and obviously in that role, or the various roles you have acted within your company,
Mhm.
you would have seen, interacted with other companies, other managers, etc. From a global perspective, what are some of the very negative, archaic management practices that exist in Barbados in 2023 that we really need to be getting rid of?
You got another 30 minutes. Vincent, you got another 30 minutes. No, seriously, that's a very good question. And for me, because I've been at SigniaGlobe 19 years, it isn't for me practice what you preach, is actually preach what you practice. But sometimes something as simple as meetings. No, most of us in the, as they would say, the white collar world, we have meetings all the time, and we meet and we meet, and then we meet some more. But most people actually don't have meetings with their staff. And you'll be surprised that they don't know how the company is doing. They don't know what lies ahead for them. They don't know what the plan is for the company, what the strategy of the company is. In this 2023 world where you can do virtual meetings, where you can have teams, where you can just jump on a WhatsApp video call, you're not connecting and meeting with your staff consistently. That is one of the things that puzzles me and baffles me to this day. How do you expect everyone to be on the same page as you if you are not taking the time to connect and communicate with your team? So meetings for me is one of the, and not having meetings is one of the most archaic approaches to management that I have seen for a very long time. And the second one is not using the technology that is available to you. As we age, we don't remember everything. Hey, set reminders in Outlook. Set the alarm on your phone. Just use the technology available to you. Even at work now, we are digital transformation, and one of my team is jump starting that because he has a passion for that. It's like use the tools that are available. If we do not create the efficiencies in our workplaces, we are going to get left behind, and we all have to stay relevant in order to make some money. Nobody's going to do business with you if they know but you. So yeah, so meetings for sure and technology are my two top things.
Okay. We have
Yeah,
a
there's
question in the chat. How does one give critical feedback without demotivating the receiver?
Yeah, it depends. Truly it depends on the nature of what that feedback is. That is the honest truth. If you are given feedback on something that is, because I do not want to assume that the feedback is negative, right? Because not every type of feedback is negative that demotivates people. And the reason I say that is because if you are accustomed to your own standard and you submit something that you believe is subpar, and the person coming into the meeting and they're like, yeah, that there was kind of mediocre, you're gonna feel like, oh my gosh, it just set up the whole entire company, right? But negative feedback, positive feedback, it depends on where you're going. But I feel as if when you're giving negative feedback, you first have to be set the tone for it by outlining the positives first. People will disarm when you go positive first. Hey, I saw that you sent out that email. I appreciate the timely response. I appreciate it was comprehensive. I appreciate all this stuff, but you missed out some critical things. So this is what I need you to do and where you need to go, because at the end of the day, this customer is complaining and we cannot absolutely have a negative reputation out there. So this is what I need you to do. So you set the tone into how you interact with that person, and also not just what you say, but how you say what you say. You can have a tough conversation without sounding like a dictator. You can have a tough conversation without sounding like a parent. You can have a tough conversation without sounding as if you are the terminator, right? You can still have tough conversations and be human throughout it all. Because if a person know that they mess up, geez, my brothers, you ain't gonna hammer them down or beat them into the ground. You still have to show grace, and this is where compassion comes in, where what comes out of your own mouth needs to be filtered before it comes out. And sometimes what I think really happens is if you have other managers on the same level as you can actually approach or share your approach with them, so that when they receive it, they can give you the feedback on how you sound. because we all have blind spots, right? So you can ask your boss what you should say or how you should say it. If it's a difficult conversation, get feedback from people who are on the same level as you. Don't ask their friends. Don't ask people who are underneath you. Ask people who are at the management level who are going to keep it confidential on how you should approach this topic, and go from there. That will be my advice to you.
Great, great feedback there, Ayesha.
Mhm.
Ayesha, one of the you mentioned earlier that your company is currently undergoing digital transformation. I think
Yeah.
a lot of big companies, corporate and otherwise in Barbados, are
Mhm.
having to move in that direction because that's where business and certainly just being able to operate in this modern world is pushing us. How
Yes.
important is the business continuity plan then?
Yes. Absolutely, absolutely important. I feel as if the more and business continuity is not just with hurricanes and natural disasters and where you go to if an earthquake comes and ensuring that you wrap up the computers when the rains and the floods come. But business continuity is what happens with your policies and procedures. You'll be surprised that most people do not actually have a written document as to how they do what they do, and ensuring that you have in the background a plan where you can have access to those things in the event of a natural disaster, in the event of something happening to you personally, because most small businesses do not have a succession plan. They just know how to work the business, but there's nobody underneath them that will actually carry on this business. And that's I find it just depends on the passion of people. My mom is a needle worker, but I don't have that skill. My sister Renee and the other one Desiree does, but none of us are in needle work. But that's what happens with most small businesses. The business actually dies with the principle. So that's where you use technology. You can use technology to ensure that you capture your business in some kind of document, some kind of framework that somebody picking it up will be able to carry it on.
Fantastic.
Follow me.
What has been one of the greatest challenges you have faced as a leader, and how did you work through that process?
One of my greatest challenges is from men, actually, from older men, and I would dare say white men, who think that I'm a secretary, or believe that they would, as they would say, go directly to my boss, who is a man, because they prefer to deal with men, and that's just how it is. And if something happens, they complain and run go to the boss. But my boss is one who supports and respects all of his managers. All but one of us is 7 or 8 of us. Carol, can't remember. So anyway, only one is a male, but our CEO is male as well, and he always sends people back down to us. He's like, I understand, but deal with Ayesha, because she knows what she's doing. And I feel as if when they talk about the ceiling that women can never break, it is so absolutely true. And even the fact that I am a young manager, over the years, you have to constantly prove yourself that much more, and be able to have this, as I was talking about, the confidence and the competence, because people will judge you basically even before you say a word as to whether they want to do business with you. But I find it even more so. It's not subliminal or subtle at all. It's very, very direct. They will tell you, I didn't want to deal with a woman. And that's the thing, and I laugh because my boss is told up, I don't make the decisions around here, she does. So you gotta talk to she. And because he set that tone, it makes it easier, but it doesn't mean that I don't have those challenges at all. I absolutely do.
Sometimes in large organizations, especially large corporate organizations,
Yeah.
you find that managers almost sometimes can find themselves operating silos. How important at the management level is it that there is a genuine management team and a team approach to what you're doing as an organization?
If there are cracks in your leadership, it will filter down to who's underneath. right? So if your management team, your leadership team is not cohesive, then you can't expect the people who are coming